going on, hobby family? It is your boy Caleb, and this is Caleb's High Five. Five rapid fire questions with your favorite hobby faces. And today we bring in a writer and an editor from Collect Media, the one, the only. How are you doing today, my friend? Will Stern at Will_Stern on Twitter. How you doing, bro?
Wow, that's a better intro than I could have given myself. So after that, I'm doing extraordinarily well. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, that's why they pay me the big bucks, man. You know, it's for those intros. So it's all downhill from there. So, oh well, how this is gonna work, Will? I got five questions. They're all hobby related. I'm gonna throw them at you one right after another. Ready to take on the high five?
Let's do it.
All right, man. First question: Will Stern, editor, writer for Collect Media. Walk us through a little bit who you feel like you are when it comes to the sports card world.
Yeah, so that's what we're all trying to figure out, right? Like there's who I am, there's who I want to be,
Hmm.
there's who I hope I can be. I
Okay.
think I think in an ideal world, I want to be someone who is trusted to report on what's going on and tell the stories that are important and be seen as just kind of a level-headed person in this kind of ridiculous industry that's full of people doing unbelievable things ranging from fraud to lying to just
Yeah.
immaturity, so I just, that's what I try to do as far as, outside of the actual reporting and everything as a person in the industry. Yeah, I just kind of want to be someone that's there as a resource for people and a
Mm.
connector and providing, information that we all kind of need to know.
Yeah. So you told me at the beginning, I mean, this is an as of April thing for you. I mean, what made you want to get into the sports card reporting news kind of world? What like drew you into that job?
Yeah, so it's a perfect storm kind of. So always, always, always wanted to be a writer. I mean, I know you're an English teacher. My 10th grade English teacher told me I was a good writer.
There we go.
And that was for some reason that was like it. I was like, oh, okay, so that's what I'm gonna do for sure.
Mm.
And so that was kind of always it. And then I went to school and I studied journalism, um, University of Wisconsin, and I graduated in 2020, which was not ideal
What
given
what a great year to graduate from
a
anything.
worldwide pandemic. So I had some reporting job offers and stuff that were all revoked on the same day. I remember it
Oh,
vividly. It was like email after email going, never mind, never mind, never mind. And after that, I had already kind of become a little bit um, less enthused by the idea of going into just being a traditional reporter at whether it was a paper or a digital publication and kind of covering things I wasn't even interested in, really, right? I'd become a little disillusioned. And I developed a pretty big interest in startups. So when I was in Madison, I was doing my own thing where I was going around and interviewing local founders of startups and doing profiles on them. It's called
okay.
it's called Mad Startups. I just paid the $3 domain renewal recently because I don't want to lose it. So then after college, I was everyone my age was just kind of had had no idea what to do. But so I applied to a million jobs. They're all startup stuff. And I ended up getting a job at Rally, which for anyone who doesn't know it's a fractional investment company. They were kind of the first to do it. They started with cars and expanded to literally everything.
Okay.
And with Rally, I was kind of the my role, and it expanded over the 3.5 years I was there, was essentially learning every single thing that one could possibly know about every asset, which were all collectibles,
Yes.
every asset we acquired, and then writing it up and kind
Okay.
of doing a little marketing. So that exposed me to so many different categories, from sports cards to wine and liquor, whiskey and Star Wars toys, like everything,
Yeah.
everything, everything, everything. And when you do that for as long as I did it, and working the hours I was working, and I genuinely enjoyed it, you develop just a, like, that becomes a part, that is now your interest, right? Like
Yeah,
I used to follow it's almost like I started following a new sport, and it was,
yeah,
the new sport is this industry, right?
for
And I
sure.
really previously wasn't tapped in at all.
Mm,
And so I'd been a rally for 3+ years, and Darren Ravel, who's the founder of Collect, he and I had always kind of had a relationship, and he and I had kind of talked about this vaguely, that
mm,
the hobby needed something of this type, ESPN for collectibles, essentially.
for sure.
And he calls me up one day and says, "Hey, I'm doing it." And then all of a sudden, the reporting background that I developed,
Yeah,
going through school, and the collectibles knowledge that I fell backwards into, totally combined, and it's like a really fortuitous turn, but one that I could never expect.
for sure. For sure. Almost like the perfect storm of the random skills that you had put together, uh,
It's
formulated
like,
this perfect position for you. It's really a neat kind of way of how that came about.
I always say, like, I've got, and I say this in it's self-deprecating, because I promise it, I don't see this as something to brag about, but it's like I've got more useless information on things like, the variance between
Yes.
1979 Jawa vinyl cape Star Wars toys than, and it's like, I wish that I could just know how to make money in the stock market with that
Yes.
same kind of fact. But instead,
100%.
I have knowledge about really specific and detailed collectibles.
Oh, all the right knowledge about all the wrong things, right? I mean, that's what we're doing
Exactly.
right now. So,
Every
um,
now and then it comes handy. Yeah.
all right, man. Well, let's talk a little bit about like collecting for you and sports cards. Like when you think about your sports cards journey into the sports card industry, like who'd you credit as some of those influences in your life?
So let's see. I definitely, so Rob Petroza, who's one of the founders of Rally and someone who I really owe so much to, as just like an amazing mentor to me, and just taught me so much. He is a totally different type of collector than anyone I think that one would conjure up, in as far as like the hobby. But he just like has had this knack for,
Hmm.
just, he always had the coolest. And it was like there were stuff that I can't afford, but still it was like it was still the need. Like, he has the Theranos machine, you know,
Hmm.
like it was like seeing the way that he went about that and what he found important was super influential, especially because that was my first introduction. You know, Darren and I, Darren's definitely been a huge influence. I
Yeah.
mean, he's such a ticket guy, and I also like tickets, and he's
Yeah.
definitely made me become more of a ticket guy. Um, but that's been an influence. And then I'd say, especially recently, I've come to know some really amazing experts, that I've used to report some stories. And their names that people don't know.
Hmm.
And frankly, they don't really like being in the public eye, but it's almost like they're able to talk to me about different things, whether it's, vintage cards. I spoke to someone recently about
Hmm.
the quote unquote rookie Honus Wagner card that they just put up at Golden, to, to rare historical documents. And it's like,
Hmm.
just learning about how they think about things has influenced me to become someone who, I think, when I look at something I want to collect, it is, I mean, first and foremost, do I love that thing
Mm,
or the thing is connected to? But secondly, it's like, is there a story that can be told there?
yeah.
Because otherwise I'm bored, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Mm.
I need story, and that to me is definitely probably those are the influences and that's kind of where I sit now as far as how I think about things.
Yeah. No, and I totally get that. That's kind of my heart in collecting too, is the story behind the sports card. Uh,
Yeah.
a PSA 10 is a PSA 10 is a PSA 10, but to know something came from someone or was passed down or was found in a random box or how, I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
I love the stories behind the cards themselves. So sounds like you and I collect a little bit of the same.
Absolutely. I mean, and to, stories that I'm doing for collect, I have like a permanent flag out to everyone at an auction house, and I tell them,
Yeah.
if some consigner comes to you with a cool story,
Mm,
tell me.
yeah,
Let me
absolutely.
read about it. Because, there's plenty of times where I'll find out, oh, oh yeah, when I sold that a year ago, there was this amazing story. I'm like, that was a year ago, and you didn't think it was worth doing press on it?
Yes.
Like, so yes, that is to
Mm,
me. I mean, we just had the Wilt Chamberlain, was it grocery store
yeah.
find? I
Yeah.
mean, just like that. Come
Yeah.
on, nothing's better.
For sure, for sure. Well, let's talk about a little bit about you, the collector. You kind of mentioned a little bit of the things that pique your interest in collecting. If there had to be an item or card out there for you that you've always wanted in your collection, what is it and why?
Mm, so it's really tough. Um, I'll go card because let's do cards because
Okay.
otherwise I'm gonna get crazy and talk about, I don't know, Apple One computer or something. Which by the way, that probably is the answer. But
Fair
as far
enough.
as the card, there's I believe it's 1951 Mickey Mantle Topps Dice game.
Okay.
Last I checked, I haven't looked at it in a while. I'm going to write a story about it, but I've known about it for a long time. Um, it's basically Topps was gonna try and make what apparently would have been, how kids were playing would make up their own games of baseball cards, right? They'd flip them
Yeah.
and put them in everything. It seemingly was going to be something like that. That was actually kind of built into the cards,
Yeah.
but they scrapped it. Um, and
Oh,
it was never released. But, as things do, a few escaped. I think there's 5 mantles in
okay.
PSA's population, and they go for like 300 grand or something.
Oh,
So,
wow.
but that kind of thing to me, you know, eh, I just love the element of the scarcity of like you'll never be
Mm,
able to find it again, and
yeah.
also being able to explain a story behind that and
Mm,
say, here's actually why I'm picking it over the 52 man.
yeah.
Everyone else has a 52 man, but me and my
Sure.
fake $300,000 is going to a unique one.
Yeah, and that I mean, just your whole idea about the story of the item or story of the card. I mean, that's what kind of popped into my brain right there. Is like you said. I mean, a mantle sitting on your shelf is great. Oh yeah, that's a Mickey Mantle card, 50 whatever. But like to be able to explain the thought behind that of this wasn't supposed to be out in the public. Like no one was supposed to have
Mhm.
it, and here I have this on my shelf. I mean, that makes for a really neat item, but also a great story behind it. So um,
Couldn't agree more.
yeah, very cool, very cool. Well, I mean, let's talk about like product for you. You got all the money in the world. Like money's not an option here. You can rip any box, present or past in sports cards history. What box would you rip for yourself?
So I have a confession, which is that I am not a box ripper.
Okay.
I count on one hand how many times I've
Oh wow.
opened up
Okay.
cards. It was probably when I first got a job at Rally in 2020. I bought like NBA Prism
Okay.
and saw, wait a second, all this is junk, and now I have it and I don't want it. And then they just released the Topps Chrome Tennis.
Mm.
And I'm a huge tennis card collector.
Oh
So
wow.
um I did buy a box of that.
Okay.
And yeah. But let's see if I could open anything. I think it's got to be 2003 Exquisite. I think
Okay.
that's one of my favorite. Not to keep tying everything back to collect because I truly could. You know, I won't. I want to talk about everything,
You're
but
Brandon. You're Brandon.
no, it's not even. It's honestly, it's because I wouldn't have said that until on the 30th anniversary. I did this really, really long feature on the exquisite product and the
Yeah.
launch, and I took everyone involved and really broke it down, and it
Mm,
gave me such an appreciation. And then
mm.
I'm also a LeBron fan and a Melo fan and a Wade
Great.
fan,
Okay.
so and yeah, so from that perspective, not to mention just it is the most influential modern
For sure.
sports product, you know, and
Yep.
it's just it's everywhere. It's in everything you see.
I
It
mean,
has an element of it.
it's the
Crazy talking about.
84 Fleer for our generation. I mean, for the next generation of collectors. Who knows? Maybe like in the coming years, it'll be the Zion and the Ja year, or it'll be the Luca year or whatever. But like for us, like I don't know, the 30, 40 year olds, like that's kind of the wheelhouse of like the 2003 draft was majority of us now in our 40s. That was when we were coming out of high school. And I mean it was the grail year for NBA fans. So
Yeah, I mean, it was a star of the line moment, right? I mean,
and
you've
there's
got the
nothing more
guy.
there's nothing more beautiful than exquisite. It's such a great product. So it makes sense.
Yeah, as far as modern cards go, exquisite. That I mean, the LeBron exquisite. I will say, the Ultimate Collection logo mans,
Hmm.
which I wasn't really super familiar with until the two sold at Golden this year, the
Okay.
Kobe and the Jordan.
Yeah.
That's the one where the LeBron has never been seen, and it would be,
Hmm.
$1 million or whatever. That might be up there for me as far as modern card beauty.
Yeah.
That's a good looking card. I love that
Agreed.
design.
Yeah, agreed. All right, well let's get a little bit into collect. You've kind of talked a little bit about it. Like when it comes to collect media, I'll make sure to tag the information in the description of this video for collect. But like, what do you feel like collect is bringing to the hobby that wasn't already there before?
Yeah. So there's been so many great storytellers and people that are reporting on ongoing events within the hobby. There's been so many people doing that for years,
Hmm.
no question. What we bring that's different is, look, Darren Ravel is a founder. Kevin Jackson is our essentially our editor in chief. Darren's 20 years at ESPN, maybe 5 at CNBC. He's, the preeminent sports business reporter, and if you Google anything about a sports card story from like pre-2010, every single one was written by him, which is really
Hmm.
annoying when I'm trying to tell him that I found something out first, and he's like, "I wrote that in 2003, you idiot." Um, and Kevin Jackson was the founding editor of Page Two at ESPN,
Hmm.
and then also at Fox Sports. And we've got Ben Burrows from Sports Card Investor and Matt Lerman of ESPN, and
Hmm.
then I've got myself with no credentials. But we, we're I say all that to kind of be like, this is we're an outfit that's filled with people doing things the way that it's supposed to be done journalistically.
Hmm.
So I think there's a level of rigor of furthering the story, right? Like, we don't want to, we're not the account to follow if you're just trying to get a 3 sentence story on something with no details and no sourcing.
Yeah.
Um, Even though, look, that could be really interesting. I do it for my personal account. I might see something at auction, write a line about it, and be like, that's cool.
Hmm.
But publish a story. We are calling everyone that's involved. You
Yeah.
know, we're doing the legwork, and we're doing, whether it's an investigative piece, whether it's a feature, whether it's a profile, whether it's a straight news story, we're always trying to make it kind of a level above what would just kind of come out from a press release or whatever.
Yeah.
We're always trying to add to it, and and really just be the authoritative source for everything in the industry. And I think we're lucky enough to have really great contacts and sources
Mhm.
already, and that's kind of growing. But yeah, I think that is, ESPN of the hobby is kind of something I've been throwing around when I try
I
to
like
explain
that.
it.
I like that.
Um, and yeah, and I think it's beyond sports, right?
Mhm.
I do a lot of stuff on anything from art to video games to Apple.
To people, I mean, as well. I've seen you, like that story of you wrote on Eric Hecker. I mean, yeah.
Yes,
So
yes.
that
Uh,
stuff is, all encompassing of the hobby because, like all those pieces are important to the collectible hobby itself.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, a huge thing that I'm a proponent of, and this is totally separate from collect, is just like the cross-pollination.
Mm,
Uh, oh, you're a card collector? Have you seen a cut autograph?
mm,
Right? Now
yeah,
you're interested in that. Like, oh, you like cut autograph. How about first edition books? That's kind of similar. Like,
yeah,
I think that people crossing over from categories
yes,
is super important and logical to me. And I'm actually surprised that it's not that more people are not interested in multiple things. There's so many people that are straight up cards,
for
and
sure.
like all power to you. I love cards too. But it's just
Mm,
always kind of like, I always wonder, like, why is that not something that's the standard? Why are people not
yeah.
seeing every category kind of as a part of a larger pie?
For sure, for sure. Well, I'm beyond excited for Collect, man. Excited to see what you guys are going to be bringing in the next year and 2 years and on into the future. So keep it up, man. It's a joy to read, man. I really do enjoy what you're putting out. So keep up the good
Thank
work.
you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, man. We
Appreciate it.
cleared the list. We made it through the high five. We got a high five at
Oh,
the
we
end.
did it. Hell
Cleared it up,
yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Hey,
Amazing.
you can follow Will Stern at Will_Stern on Twitter. Do you do any other social medias, or is Twitter kind of or X kind of your main hub?
Definitely Twitter, not X. I've got an Instagram account that I made so that I didn't have to post pictures of sports cards on the one that I had with like
Gotcha.
a friend from college. So Will's collection account, I think it's
Yeah,
called. But that's Twitter is where if I have news, I'm sharing that.
for
That's where
sure.
that's where we publish stuff on, and then it's at Collect Media on most social
Yep.
media. And
Yep.
then our website, by the way, is collect.com, CLLCT.
Man, you just beat me to all my things I was going to plug for you right now.
Oh, my bad, my
Yeah.
bad.
Hey, I'll make sure to link Collect in the description of this video as well. But do check out Collect. It's a great resource outlet for anyone who's interested in sports cards and beyond, as you were just hearing Will talk about there. So please make sure you check it out. Also, subscribe to the channel Dizzy Dub One. Follow me on Twitter, also at Mr. K Dub. Shout out to our high five endorsers this season: LJ's Card Shop and Midwest Box Breaks. Will, it was an absolute pleasure chatting with you, man. I'm thankful that we got to connect virtually, and hopefully one of these times I'll get to shake your hand in person.
Oh man, it was such a pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. All right, y'all take care. We'll catch you next time on the next High Five.